It's August 2018, which means it is that time of year again. Time for me to make my yearly predictions on what is coming to Cedar Fair parks in 2019. Now, unlike Six Flags, it is worth mentioning, and I mention this all the time, is that Cedar Fair does not add something new at every single park every year. So sometimes it is a little tricky doing predictions for Cedar Fair parks because not every park is going to get something. So there are some parks that I'll be listing that I don't see getting anything next year. It's unfortunate, but that's just the way it is. So we're going to start from the largest Cedar Fair park down to the bottom, which of course means starting off with Cedar Point. Now, they just got what is arguably the world's greatest roller coaster, so I would not expect much. However, this is Cedar Point, which means they still are probably planning for some big things. I just expect that 2019 will be an off year, as they just announced that Witch's Wheel will be closing. I see that plot of land as a possible 2019 expansion spot. I would say a new thrilling flat ride to place it. I mean, maybe they could go with like a top scan or something, or a new type of thrill ride. I could see that as just kind of a year to kind of tide people over for 2020, which is Cedar Point's 150th anniversary, so we can probably expect something big there. I'm also going to take a shot in the dark and say it will be announced in summer 2019 that Wicked Twister will be relocated to another park and will be closing at Cedar Point. And that is so that they can open up that plot of land that is already being worked on off to the right side by Gatekeeper and Wicked Twister. But that's already getting into 2020 stuff, so I'm not going to go into too much detail there. Let's move on to Kings Island. I'm thinking that we're going to see a focus on Coney Mall for this year. 2018 didn't exactly bring much. It brought Coney Barbecue, which is cool, but they didn't get a new ride. So I think it is time that they get a new ride. But it's going to be a family ride if I had to take a guess. Last year, the popular rumor was Antique Cars. I'm thinking that is still a possibility, especially since we got some of that Dinosaurs Alive land. It is definitely doable. Another possibility is they still have that Flight Commander spot, so that's already a pad just sitting there where they could put a ride there. Again, I wouldn't expect anything too extreme for Kings Island. Next up is Carowinds, and this one is easy. This is going to be one of the 2 parks receiving a roller coaster next year. How do we know? Well, I was just there, and they have supports for it on site. There are footers in the ground. We know is going to be a coaster from Mock Rides. It will be a dual launch coaster. It'll feature several inversions. The popular rumor is they'll be called Copperhead Strike, and Carowinds is already saying it is going to be their largest investment ever. Which makes sense because Mock Rides coasters are decently expensive rides, but it's really going to add to their lineup. Next up, we have King's Dominion. They just got Twisted Timbers this year, so I'm not expecting anything huge, but I am thinking that we'll be seeing a water park expansion. And I say this because they just closed Tornado, so now we have this empty plot of land. I'm thinking a mat slide racer right there. That'd be a good fit, but I could also see that King's Dominion just doesn't really do anything at all, like no new ride or anything. They just did a huge renovation to the back right portion of Candy Apple Grove, so I'm thinking 2019 will be a lighter year. But it would be nice to get a new slide in Soak City, seeing as the most popular ride in the water park just closed. Next, we have Knott's Berry Farm, and I wouldn't expect much. This park is landlocked, they just got hang time, and if they were going to add something large, they would have closed a ride by now or started clearing. And since they haven't done that, I'm thinking we probably won't see anything. Maybe a new show, maybe new food or something like that, and at most maybe a small family ride, but I would not expect anything large here. Let's move on to Canada's Wonderland. This is the second park to receive a roller coaster. They are getting a B&M dive coaster. And no, it is not going to be a Giga. I am sorry, but that is the stupidest rumor that has been going around, that Canada's Wonderland would be getting a Giga dive coaster. No, I am sorry, that is not going to happen. It is going to be a normal size dive coaster, but it's going to be a fun dive coaster. It's going to have a cool layout. It's going to dive under Vortex. I mean, it would be nice to see a different ride going to Canada's Wonderland, but seeing as right now they really only have a top 2, this will give them a nice top 3. All B&Ms, if I might add. As for a name, I know everyone wants it to be called Ziz. I don't see that happening, but I could see a bird type theme. I've always loved the name Firebird, and seeing as the track color is around the same color as Valraven's, I think that could be a cool name, but I'm probably way wrong, so we'll have to wait and see. Next, we have California's Great America. In this park, it's a bit easier to make predictions because they had to file permits and say what they're doing for the next several years. So we already know some rides that might be coming to this park. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say that 2019 is going to be a Starflyer. They do not have a Windseeker or tall swing ride, so I'm thinking that this is going to be the year that they add that. They did just get Railblazer, so we definitely won't be seeing a roller coaster, at least not for 2019. Worlds of Fun is up next, and what's so sad about this park is that they have so much land, there is so much potential, and I know so many people are really wanting that new roller coaster, but if they were getting a coaster next year, we would have had to see clearing start already. I do not see them getting a new roller coaster next year, which is quite unfortunate. I do think it is their turn in the chain. And seeing as they just got family rides, I don't know if they'll be getting any family attractions. So maybe a thrill ride or possibly a Oceans of Fun expansion, but 2019 will not be the coaster. Nor will be the coaster for Dorney. Seeing as they just removed Stinger, people were saying, yo, that new coaster, it's going to be coming in 2019. And I was on that bandwagon for a while too. But again, they have the land there, but they haven't started turning it up. We haven't seen any work progress. Remember, Mystic Timbers, they were working on that all year. If they were getting a GCI or Raptor or whatever it was, we would have seen it already. So I'm holding out and saying that Dorney Park is going to be a very small year for 2019, and 2020 will be the new coaster. Next up is Valley Fair, and this, I swear, I make the same prediction for Valley Fair every year, and I'm always wrong. But I'm going to do it again, because I'm thinking maybe, just maybe, it will be 2019. But I'm thinking that they will close Excalibur at the very end of this year and make it a 2019 water park expansion. They'll revamp the water park, make it like Carolina Harbor, add a back entrance over there. But that probably won't happen, and we'll just see something small. But whenever they do get their water park expansion, that's probably what we'll be seeing. And finally, we have Michigan's Adventure. And if you think that Michigan's Adventure is going to be getting anything large, then you haven't been a coaster enthusiast for very long, because that's not really how it works here. Michigan's Adventure will likely be getting a trash can, maybe two if we're lucky. So those are my predictions for Cedar Fair parks in 2019. It's definitely not going to be as big of a year as 2018 was, seeing as we saw 4 new coasters this year. And since attendance was actually on a decline for this past year, I don't think we'll be seeing as large of investments for next year. But you can let me know down in the comment section below what you think is coming next year. And of course, stay tuned for those Cedar Fair announcements, and we'll see how right I am and see how right you guys were. And of course, we'll have a full analysis up of any new coasters coming, so stay tuned for those, and we'll catch you guys later.